Welcome back, everybody. I'm bored. COVID has made me bored, and COVID has made me go into the entertaining hobby of tabletop board gaming. This isn't your family classics like Monopoly or Scrabble or anything like that, although those are fun. I definitely grew up with those and enjoyed those. And I'm not even sure how it started, other than it started with HeroClix and somehow evolved to what I have now. And today we are playing Street Masters. And you're probably asking yourself, what is Street Masters? Sounds like Street Fighter. Not quite Street Fighter. Looks like Street Fighter, especially this guy right here. But it is the tabletop translation of a video arcade game like Street Fighter or Double Dragon or River City Ransom or Streets of Rage or Mortal Kombat. Like any of those sort of side-scrolling or side one versus one beat 'em up type of games. This is the board game translation of that. It's published by Blacklist Games, and it is a 1 to 4 player, fully cooperative game. It has miniatures and cards and some dice. So the game itself, I didn't know of this game. I came across it when I was actually looking for something else. I think it was like the Street Fighter tabletop board game. And Street Masters came up. I read some reviews, and it was really well praised in terms of how it translated that video game experience to the tabletop miniature. And I was intrigued. I downloaded the rule book, as I always do with any game that I'm looking into. I want to read the rule book, understand the rules as best as I can, watch a couple playthroughs, and see if, 1, I like the theme. 2, I like the rule book. The rule book is not too easy where it's just mindless gaming, but complicated enough that it's going to be a challenge, but not so overly complicated enough that I'm going to just spend half my time referencing the rule book. I want a nice balance. I wanted to have, it's great that it had miniatures. It has a combination of card management, hand management, and some dice rolling. I enjoy dice chucking. And this sort of met those requirements. So I took a chance, bought it, tried it out. There's actually, had I known this ahead of time, I guess I didn't do my full research. There actually is a Android iOS version, this game, for the mobile app. And it plays exactly the same. And if you're interested in this game and you want to see how it feels, it's about $13. It's pretty expensive for a game, but honestly, it's got good replay value. And I've played both. And had I tried the video game first, I probably wouldn't have gotten this board game. But then what's the point? I'm trying to limit my screen time. Might as well pick up something that I enjoy that is in a tabletop version. So if you want to try it out on Android, iOS, see how it plays for you. And if you like it, by all means, get the board game because it's also a lot of fun. There is a lot to it. It's quite involved. It is not an easy game. It is fairly straightforward to explain. The turns and sequences are very straightforward. It scales somewhat well. I've heard people complain as you add more players. It's a great solo game, by the way. So if you're looking for a solo game, this is a perfect solo game because you can play a lot of solo, or a lot of board games out there have a solo option, but really what you're doing is you're just playing 2 characters as opposed to just one. Probably instead, in one exception might be any type of dungeon crawler. But this game totally works 1 player, 1 character, solo. As you add more players, it can stretch out the downtime between plays, but Blacklist Games has provided a sort of a variation which can help speed up that process so there's less downtime between players. You can download the rulebook, you can watch the videos on how to play. I'm going to go through a couple of the explanation of the rules and the setup. I'm not going to spend too much time on every nitty-gritty detail. So Street Masters looks a lot like Street Fighters. That looks a lot like Ryu. This guy, for some reason, his name is Brandon. Looks a lot, kind of reminds me of Brandon Lee because his outfit, if you look at it, is sort of that yellow and black and he's holding nunchucks. Kind of reminds me of Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee's son was Brandon. So there's a lot of sort of play on characters that, if depending what generation you come from, you might sort of look, it looks familiar to you. This guy definitely looks like Ryu, and his name is Caillou Ryu. So they're definitely playing on some of that on some of that nostalgia for people who grew up with Street Fighter and those kind of video games. So the basic setup is there are, I think, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 6 characters that you can choose from. Each character has a deck of cards, and this deck of cards, I'm choosing Brandon. The deck of cards provides their 3 different types of cards. Tactic cards, which are sort of perpetual abilities that you can continue to use. You have attack abilities, and you have other abilities, like just regular abilities. So tactics are kind of strategy cards. And your character has a certain amount of life, a certain amount of health. In this case, it's 20. It tells you the type of attack he does. The cards that he plays may have different types. There are 3 types of attacks: kick, punch, and grapple. So his default on his character card is a punch attack. And there's this number here called the charge. The charge is, as you're defending, you earn charge points. When you reach those charge points, you would flip your character card over and you have a special access to a special action ability. So every card will have keywords like action or exhaust or interact or something like that. And as I explained the rules, you have the option to utilize these particular traits. Then you would select your enemy that you want to choose and fight up against. In this case, I'm choosing the Brotherhood. This is the core box, by the way, so it doesn't have all the Kickstarter extras, but I found that there's enough replay value. There are 8 different stages. There are 4 different types, or 6 maybe different types of enemies. Lots of characters to choose from. There's even a story mode. There's a hero story mode. There's lots of replay value in this game. So we're playing up against Dimitri. He has a health of 20p, 20 times the number of players playing. So in this case, it's 1. So in terms of scaling with the number of players, as you add more players, it can be more challenging because Dimitri will then have 40 or 60 or 80 health points. So it can be quite challenging, but you have team members or cooperative play to help you take him down. And he has certain actions that he can do on his turn. Then you choose a stage. There are 8 different stages. It's a double tile maps that they have, 4 double tile maps. And each stage has a unique set of events that can occur, unique set of objectives that you need to do. Sorry, not that you need to do, that the enemy is trying to do. So the ultimate goal in this is for you to defeat the boss. He has minions that spawn, and think of it exactly like an arcade. You're moving along a level, you choose a stage, you move along a level, you might bust open a crate that has a sledgehammer in it to help you through. You might pick up some health tokens here and there to boost up your power or energy, and then there'll be minions spawning as you're moving across, and you're going to beat them down and do your best to survive, and then you finally have an epic showdown with the boss. The stage presents challenges and objectives, and if you're able to defeat the boss, you win. If the boss completes his objective, you lose. If your health is knocked down to 0, you lose. So it's a very straightforward approach to the game, but it's not easy. At least I don't find it easy. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to play Street Masters by Blacklist Games. We've got the board set up. This is, I'm going to pull this down a little bit, Gone Ballistic board. The Gone Ballistic board has a particular setup, and there are objective tokens. We have our first yellow objective tokens that is shown on the board. In terms of the board layout, you've got these crate tokens, which is when you come to this space, you get to choose what's called a loot, and usually it's like a lead pipe or something to help you issue more damage or aids you to your benefit. You've got your starting area for your hero and the enemy starting space. It is a hexagon-shaped pattern, grid pattern. You can move in any direction. When you are moving enemies, they try to move in the most direct or streamlined movement. So as opposed to a whole bunch of zigzags, they try to move with as little, I guess, cornering as possible. And this particular Gone Ballistic stage with Dimitri is trying to collect these objectives. Each objective represents a weapons cache. When Dimitri collects 3 of them, he wins. So your goal is to prevent him from doing that, and at the same time, beat him up. So my character is Brandon. The miniatures here, I'm not sure what size these are. I think these are 28 mil, but you can see this is Brandon. The miniatures have really good poses. I think the detail for their size is actually pretty good. And I've seen people paint these. I can't imagine how I would paint this because it's just so small. But I'm sure it would elevate the game if they had some color to it. So we're going to put Brandon right here. I've sort of got a top-down view just to give an overview of the gameplay. Maybe I can move this down a little bit. And we've got Dimitri, who has an RPG strapped to his back. Who straps an RPG to their back? Okay, and he'll start right here. There are 3 turns that take place. First, you have your fighter turn, and that is for all the fighters that are playing. So I have 1 fighter here. Then you'll have the enemy turn, and then you'll have the stage turn. So during the fighter turn, your turn, you will reveal a threat card or a card from the enemy deck. It could be an event or it could be a minion that spawns on the board. The locations here represent spawn points, and you always would spawn a minion to the closest open spawn point. Then you would have an act phase. During your act phase, you can choose, you can do the following actions or steps in any order. You can move up to 3 spaces. You can play a card from your hand. You can do an action step, which is performing an action on the card, a card that you've played or on your character card. Or you can do a sprint, which is moving up to 3 spaces. You can do a defend, which is gaining random defense tokens. Or you can do an interact, which, depending on the stage you're on, some cards have an interact option. After that, you would have your reaction phase, which is any of the minions that may have appeared. They would be under your sort of threat zone, and they're the enemies that you kind of control on your turn, and you would activate them. And then you would draw a card to replenish your hand. After that would be the enemy turn, and that's where Dimitri activates, and he'll have a set, sort of a scripted, almost pre-programmed procedure to follow, and you would just follow that, and then the stage would also do its turn after that. And after that, the fighters go again. So on the fighter turn, if there was another player playing, we would do I would do my turn first, or whoever, then they would do their turn, then the enemy would do their turn, then the stage. So in terms of scaling difficulty, it scales well, because if you have another player, they have to go through the same draw threat card. So there could be an equal number of enemies spawning to scale with the number of players on the board. Okay, so we've got 3 minion types. One of the challenging things about this game, which I think other people sort of echoed, was the initial setup. The initial setup, while distributing the cards on the board is not too bad, it's the bases for all the minions. Every boss, so Dimitri has a set of specific minions that he has that you would choose. I think there's about 60 miniatures in this. And each minion requires a colored base. There are 5 different colors. So this is Anastasia. This is green Anastasia. And I also have a red, a purple, a blue, and a yellow Anastasia. So these bases are kind of rubber. They're not hard clips. So putting them on is a little time consuming. So if you imagine, let's say I just wanted to, you know what? I don't want to do Gone Ballistic. I want to switch the board. Or I don't want to switch Gone Ballistic. I don't want Dimitri. I want to do another boss. Well, now I have to peel off all these clips or all these rubber bases and put them on the other minions that go with the other boss. It's recommended that you paint these bases because the bases will always be, there will always be a green Anastasia, so there's no harm in painting her base green. One day I'll get to it. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to draw from our hand 4 cards, and I get to do 1 mulligan. So I see I've got sort of a duplicate here, so I'm going to drop Viper's Jab, and I'm going to reshuffle my cards. Once you start playing, there are quite a number of cards to keep track of, and that is probably the most difficult part of this game, is keeping track of all the things that are going on. So I draw a card, and I get that. So I have Viper Jab, Chameleon Stance, Dragon's Teeth, and Nunchaku Grab. So you can see I have an attack, a tactic, and another attack card. Again, tactic cards are sort of perpetual. They stay in play. Attack cards are sort of one-time use, and they outline what you can do. And you'll see that there are keywords that you can use: exhaust, combo, and it all depends on the character. What's nice is for the 6 hero characters that you have in here, each of their decks is very unique. So the gameplay, depending on who you choose, can vary greatly depending on their tactics, their strategies. Some of them are sort of, I'll call them ranged attackers. Other ones are close combat attackers. So you really need to know their actions really well and try to play in a way that benefits that character's abilities. In terms of fighting and battling, for you have these dice that you roll. Because your cards, so for example, Nunchaku Grab, it tells you what type of card it is. It tells you the type of damage you do, which is a punch, and you would resolve the text when you play this card. So in terms of doing attacks, it will tell you how many of the attack dice you roll. So if I were to roll 2, and I roll 2, I would get, in this situation, this represents a successful attack, so a successful punch. This represents a successful defense that I pick up as well, and I'll explain that in just a minute. If it was this, it's 1 successful attack or a defense, and this one is a crit. A crit means it is a successful attack, plus you get to roll 1 more dice, and it can stack. So the one nice thing about this game compared to other games that have dice is there really is no negative consequence roll. So if I were to look at another game and say, oh, I roll this particular negative consequence face, all of a sudden I suffer, maybe I gain a wound or I suffer some kind of consequence. In this situation, there's nothing bad. When you get, the only thing is your hope is to have more successes, but even if you gain the shield or the defense, what would happen is if I played this card with this type of attack and I rolled a defense, I would pick up this token. This is a defense token. Your characters start off with no defense, and there is a balance of trying to earn defense tokens as you play so that when the enemies attack you, they will be attacking with a specific type of attack. And if you happen to have these defense tokens, you can use it to block one of their attacks. And again, there's nothing negative. Once you've blocked it, you would flip this over and you would earn energy. And if you successfully earn enough energy to meet the charge requirement, so in this case 5, you get a bonus. You would charge up. It's a one-time bonus that you get. So I like that gameplay mechanic. You get to benefit from having defenses and blocking attacks. So it'll make more sense as we play along. For the enemies, when they attack, most of them will attack with these dice. And again, these show the different types of attacks: fist, punch, grapple, and kick. And that will dictate how they attack. So an example here would be 3 grapple attacks and a kick attack. And if you have 3 grapples and a kick to defend tokens, you can defend against all their attacks. All right, enough rule play. Let's go. Brandon's going up, and we are ready to go against Dimitri on Gone Ballistic. This is Street Masters. First thing we're going to do is it is our turn. We're going to draw a threat. a threat phase. So this one is extra ammo. Each fighter suffers 1 direct damage for each Anastasia in play. If no Anastasia is played, Dimitri deals each fighter 2 direct damage. Direct damage means you cannot block them. So I have no Anastasia, so I take 2 hits. No good. Not a great start. But now it's my turn. So I get to do something. I can move, I can play a card, and I can do an action, which can be one of sprinting, defending, using a card action, or an interact action. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to move. So I get to move up to 3 spaces. So I'm going to move into this crate. I'm going to pick up something from the loot. I have the loot offsite, and it's a flashbang, which I can use to remove 2 defense tokens from an enemy engaged with me. The next thing I do is I can do an action, or I can play a card, and I will play a card. I'm going to play my tactic card, which is Chameleon Stance. Chameleon Stance gives me a +1 dice to my attacks, which can be beneficial. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my action step, in which case I want to gain 2 random defense tokens. So I'll roll, and I pick up a grapple and a kick. So I'll just put it over here. So I've gained 2 defense tokens. That ends my turn, or sorry, that ends my act phase. Now is the react phase. The react phase would be is if I had any minions in my control, and I don't. So I'm going to move along to the draw card step. So I will draw this card. And I get another nunchaku grab. Okay, I'm just going to put these over here for now. Okay, so now we go into the enemy turn. This is where Dimitri activates. And in his activate, he says, he attacks. He attacks if he is engaged or adjacent to a fighter, and he's not. So if he's not engaged, he uses his equip effect. And equipped means you discard the top card. If it is a gear, you put it into play, and it's not. This is a tactic card. So we're going to discard that, and instead he's going to gain 1 random defense token. So he's going to gain a foot. And then he retreats 1 space. So he'll retreat into this crate space. And that's it. Next part is the stage turn, in which case you will activate any card that has an objective keyword. So what happens here is the boss moves 3 spaces towards this objective, or to the closest objective. So it's going to move 3. 1, 2, 3. If he reaches the objective, he will pick it up. And now we draw a card from the stage. Oh, it's the green weapon cache, lucky me. So we'll take that one out and put it on its location. That has now become the closest. Now this one, you don't run its objective because that's after this card is activated. So you're activating it from left to right. So that ends the stage phase. And now we are back to the fighter turn, and I'm going to do the threat. So I have my purple Anastasia. So you'll see here, purple Anastasia has a health of 4. She rolls 1 attack dice when she attacks. She has 2 defense tokens, which is a foot or a kick and a grapple. So there are a lot of tokens in this game, a lot of chits. So you have to pop out quite a few. Okay, so she's going to appear in the closest space to our fighter, which is right there. She doesn't activate, but she is there now. Now it's my turn. I can act. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first play my card. I'm going to play a card, and it's Nunchaku Grab. I exhaust a minion engaged with you. Exhausting means you tilt her card sideways. In order for her, when she activates on her turn, she won't be attacking. She will just be unexhausting. But I get to do an attack. It says attack with 2 attack dice, gaining +1 if there are no ready enemies engaged with you. There are no ready enemies engaged with me because she is rested, so I get +1, and I get +1 because of Chameleon Stance. So I have 4. So I'm going to roll. So I get 3 successes and 2 defense tokens, and this is a grapple attack. So I will pick up, first I'll pick up 2 grapple defense tokens, and I apply 3 grapple attack to Anastasia. She has 1 grapple defense, so she blocks 1 and takes 2. Okay, so now I can move, or I can maybe wipe her out. Let's wipe her out. So I'm going to do an action. And my action step, I'm going to do the action on my fighter's card, which is back fist. I attack with 1 attack dice, but because of chameleon stance, I get to roll 2. Okay, so this is a punch attack or fist attack, so I pick up a defense, and it's 2 successful hits. She has no punch defense tokens, so she takes 2 hits, which is 4, and that actually ends her life. So she's done. When you defeat a minion, you actually pull a loot card, and I get sneakers, which is pretty good. And now my card says, then you can reveal 1 card from your hand and resolve its combo effect. So let's see. I will do this one. Combo effect, gain 1 power, then you may discard this card to reveal a combo. I'm just going to gain 1 power. So power is, again, once I earn 5 power, I get to charge my character. And now I'm going to move. I'm going to move 3. 1, 2, 3. So I move here. I'm trying to reach this objective because I know Dimitri is going to be getting that one very soon. So that ends my act phase and react phase. If Anastasia was still in play, she would unexhaust. If she was not exhausted, she would actually do her attack. But there's no enemy in my control, so I just draw a card. And now we move to Dimitri's turn. Dimitri is not engaged with anyone, so he's going to do his equip. He's going to drop this card. It is not a gear, so he gains a fist defense. And he retreats 1 space. That ends the enemy turn. Now we're looking at the stage rules. We are activating the objective. So we're going to resolve the objective effect on the inactive objective nearest the boss. So this is the inactive objective nearest the boss. He's going to move in 3 spaces, and lucky me, he picks it up. So we're going to put this into his enemy area. Because he has this objective, and at any time that he attacks, he gets +1 direct damage. And now we draw our stage card. It's a weapon jam. If at least 1 figure controls an objective, this card deals the figure with the most objectives 2 general damage. General damage means it can be blocked by any type of defense token that they have. In this case, he has 2, so he's going to block both. And then the boss deals each fighter 1 direct damage for each objective that he carries. So he has 1, so I take 1 direct damage. I'm at 3 now. So that ends the stage turn. We are now back to the fighter turn. Let's draw a threat. It is Blue Draco. Blue Draco has a health of 8. He rolls 3 on his attack dice, and he has 2 grapple for defense. And Blue Draco is right here. I don't know if it focused in, and he'll appear in the closest spawning point. Okay, my turn. Okay, well, I think I want to... I'm trying to want to reach that objective as quickly as I can. So I'm going to move 3. 1, 2, 3. For my action, I don't want to play a card because I don't have a card to play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an action, and for my action, I'm going to move up to 3 spaces. So I'm going to move and stand right on here. I'm standing on the objective token. The last thing I can do is play a card, but I don't want to play a card because all mine are attack cards, and that doesn't benefit me in any way. So that will end my act phase. Now the react phase, I activate Drago. Drago moves 3 spaces towards the nearest fighter, and he attacks. He moves here. He's not engaged, so he rolls he gets a random defense, which is another grapple. Okay. Then I draw my card. Then Dimitri activates. Dimitri is not engaged. He's going to drop the top. He's going to roll for defense. He gets a grapple. And he retreats 1 space. So if you haven't noticed, everything is very pre-programmed. You just read it, follow it. That's the one nice thing about this. It's very linear like that. You just have to remember all the things that are going on. Once you have lots of minions and lots of effects going on, it can be a lot to remember. So that ends Dimitri. We go into the stage. This activates. He moves in 3 spaces closer. 1, 2, 3. And we draw a card from the stage deck. Weapon Jam. At least 1 figure controls an objective card. It deals a figure with the most objectives 2 general damage. So he blocks 1 general damage, and he takes 1. And then he is going to deal me 1 direct damage. Now I have 4. Okay. That was the end of the stage. We are back to the fighter turn. We're going to draw for a threat. It is a blue Boris. He has 6 health, rolls 2 on his attack. He has 2 punch defense. And he has a really annoying ability if he kind of bases you, which I don't like. Here's blue Boris coming in at the nearest location, which would be right here. Okay, my turn. I'm going after Dimitri, so what I want to do is I'm going to play a card, which is my Dragon's Teeth. I move up to 2 spaces, I attack with 3 dice. So I'm playing this card, I'm moving up to 2 spaces. 1, 2. And I'm going to attack. I attack with 3 dice, but because of Chameleon Stance, sorry, I'm supposed to get rid of this card. Because of Chameleon Stance, I gain 1 more. And on top of that, I'm going to throw in my Sneakers. So my Sneakers gives me a +2 to kick attacks. So I'm going to go ahead, and because this is a kick attack, so I'll technically be rolling 6. I only have 4 of these, so I'll roll these 2 first. Okay, so we'll resolve these first. I get 1, 2, 3 kick attacks, successful kicks, and I get 3 kick defense tokens. 1, 2, 3. So he has no kick defense, so he's going to take 3. Now I'm going to roll 2 more because I have 2 extra dice. And I get 2 more on him. So he's at 6. And I gain 1 more kick defense token. So as you can see, there's no such thing as a bad roll. Ideally, I would like to have more successful attacks, or if anything, crits. But I'll take it. So once I've done that, I played this card, and that's it. So that was my card that I played. Now I can do an action, which I'm going to. My action will be I'm going to do the attack on my back fist, or on my character card. So I attack with 1 dice +1 because of the Chameleon Stance. Oh, and I get 2 successful attacks. It's fist. He has no fist defense, so he takes 2. He's now at 8. I can resolve a combo effect from one of my cards. And I have this one, which is Viper Jab. Deal 1 direct damage to an enemy engaged with you. So I deal him +1 direct damage. So now he's at 9. I can use the exhaust on the Chameleon Stance. Choose 1 card from your discard pile to add to your hand. Then discard 1 card to resolve its combo effect. So, yeah, sure. So I'm going to exhaust this. I'm going to pull this card back into my hand. Then I'm going to discard this card, which is Bite Back. It's a tactic, but the combo is gain 1 defense token of your choice, and then deal 1 general damage to each enemy engaged with you. So I'm going to discard that. I'm going to gain a fist, and I deal 1 general damage to Dimitri, so he is now at 10. I'm halfway there. Okay, so my last action I can do, or my last step I can do is move, and I'm just going to move back over this objective token. Okay. That ends my act phase, and now we go to the react phase. Oh, interesting. We just lost power. Okay, had a brief power outage disruption, which is quite hilarious. I believe I left off at my act phase, and I'm ready to go into react phase. So I'm going to start with Drago from left to right on my threat area. He's going to move 3 spaces towards the nearest fighter. 1, 2, 3. Well, let me see. Would he go 1, 2, 3? 1, 2. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. And he's not engaged, so he's going to gain a random defense. He will gain foot. And then Boris activates. He moves in 3. 1, 2, 3. And he will attack. So when he attacks, he's rolling 2 attack dice. So he's attacking with a fist and a kick. I have enough to block that. Now, when I block it, I switch them over to charge, so I have now 3 energy. That ends the react phase, and now I draw a card. And now we go to Dimitri. Dimitri, not engaged. He's going to drop the top deck, or drop the top card. He's going to roll for a defense. He picks up a foot defense, and he retreats 1. And now he will activate. We'll go to the stage. This is going to activate. He's going to move in 3, but I am sitting on top of the objective, preventing him from picking it up. So he's now just engaged with me, and we draw the top of the stage. Recovered sidearm. The fighter with the least minions, which is me, in the threat area attaches this card to the minion furthest from them. If no minions are in play, discard this card and draw another stage card. After the attached enemy, so when we attach this card, it's basically a handgun. After the attached enemy activates, you deal 1 direct damage to the nearest fighter not engaged with it. Furthest fighter is Drago, so we will attach a gun to him. Lucky me. So that was a stage. Now we go back to our turn, and we draw from the threat, and it is a blue Anastasia. She will appear over here. She gets a foot and a grapple defense. So I'm unexhausting my cards. So now it's my act phase. So who's who? Should I go after Dimitri, or what should I do here? Let's see. I do have a kick. Okay, we're gonna use flashbang, and flashbang, I get to discard Dimitri's 1 and only defense token, and I can play the flashbang card at any time. It's not considered a step or an action. I'm going to play a card, and the card I'm going to play will be my Dragon's Teeth. I can move up to 2 spaces and attack. Now, I can't move because one of Boris's abilities is to base me. I can't move unless I give up one of my grapple defenses to him. So I'm not going to move. I'm just going to attack. I have 3 for my attack as a base attack. I gain +1 for my chameleon stance. And this is a foot attack. So I get 2 successful hits. So Dimitri takes 2. And I pick up 2 foot defense. I've got a lot of foot defense right now. And that, I've played my card. Now I can do an action. Sure, I'll do an action. I will do an attack with 2 dice. Oh, I get 2 hits on Dimitri. He takes 2. So he's now at 14. And I resolve a combo effect. And I will use this one. Exhaust a minion engaged with you and gain 1 defense token of your choice from that minion. So I'm engaged. Boris is not, sorry, Dimitri is not a minion. Boris is. So I'm going to exhaust him and I'm going to take 1 of his fist defense. And now I can, well, I can't move, but that's my last action. I'm going to use the exhaust on my chameleon stance. I'm going to exhaust. I choose a card from my discard pile to put back into my hand. And then I'm going to discard a card from my hand, which will be Viper Jet, and deals 1 direct enemy engaged. Deal 1 direct damage to an engaged enemy. And I'll deal that damage to Dimitri. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, he's at 15. Okay, Dimitri better do something, but we're okay. So I can't move. That ends it. Now we do the react phase. Drago is going to move 3. He moves in 3. And then he's going to attack. He attacks with 3 dice. So 2 foot and a grapple. And I have enough to block. So I am now charged. So I'm going to flip my card over to the charged side. I have an extra charge, so I'm just going to discard, put back all these defense icons that I've gained. And I get 1 direct damage. Oh, after the attached enemy activates, deal 1 direct damage to the nearest fighter not engaged with it. So he's engaged, so I don't get direct damage. Perfect. Next person to activate would be Boris. He just unexhausts. And now Anastasia is going to activate. If unengaged, deal the nearest fighter within 6 spaces of this enemy 1 direct damage. So I take 1 direct damage, and now I'm at 5. Okay. And that's it. That's all that Anastasia does. She's kind of a cheap shot, shooting from a distance. Okay, so we've done the react phase. I draw a card, and now Dimitri activates. He is engaged, so now he's going to attack me, and he attacks me with 4 dice. 2 kicks, 3 kicks, and a punch. So I have, again, 3 kick defense and a punch defense. So I have successfully blocked it. I flip them over for charge. I have 5 more. I have another 5 energy. I'm already charged. So once I use this ability and I go back to my uncharged state, I can recharge or charge myself again with the 5 energy here. I also get 1 direct damage because he is carrying an objective token. And that ends his turn. I believe he retreats 1 space, so he's going to move back 1. Dimitri attacks if unable to resolve his equip fees. Then Dimitri retreats 1 space. So now we go into the stage turn. He's going to move back towards me. And we draw another stage card. Another recovered sidearm. So that one would go to Anastasia. So she's going to deal me 2 direct damage now. Lovely. Okay, so that was the end of the stage. We're back to the fighter turn. I'm drawing for a threat. That's right. Oh, we have yellow Anastasia. Yellow Anastasia is going to show up over here, and she gets a grapple and a foot. I'm focusing my efforts on Dimitri at this point, and we're going to unexhaust my chameleon stance, and now we can do our act phase. So we are going to do Nunchaku Grab. We're going to play a card. We're going to do short work of this guy. Nunchaku Grab. Exhaust a minion, engage with me. I'm going to exhaust Drago. And then I can attack. Now I have Boris, who is on the ready, as well as Dimitri, so I don't gain this +1, but I gain +1 from Chameleon Stance. And I'm going to attack. I get to choose how I want to attack. I'm attacking Dimitri. Okay, perfect example. So I get a 3 hit plus a crit, and I get a defense. So this is a grapple. So a grapple attack. And now I give 1, 2, 3 grapple attack to Dimitri. So he's at 18. And now I can do an action. For my action, I'm going to play the Dragon's Reach action from my character card. I attack with 3 dice, +1 because of Chameleon Stance. And then I can reveal each card in my hand and resolve the combo effect of each card that's revealed. Then you flip this card over. So here goes the attack. All I need is 2. Okay, so not bad. I get 1, 2, 3. 3 hits plus a crit, and I pick up 2 defense, which is fist defense. And I get to roll 1 more time because of the crit. And I get another hit plus another fist defense. Okay, so my attack is targeting Dimitri. 1, 2, 3, 4. I give him 4 attack on his 5, 18, that's 22. So Dimitri has been defeated. And just if I wanted to show you what would happen, I would now reveal the combo effect of every card in my hand. So I can reveal this one, deal 1 direct damage to an enemy engaged with me. Then I can gain 1 power and discard this card to reveal a card from your hand and resolve its combo effect. Gain 1 defense token from an enemy within 3 spaces of you. Move 1 space and discard 1 card from your hand to resolve the combo effect. So I have successfully, and then what I would do is flip this over, but then I have 5 energy. I could charge up again, and Brandon would be ready to issue his Dragon Reach again. I had 6 damage. Dimitri has been defeated. I had several minions on the board. This turned out in my favor. The last time I played this, it did not turn in my favor. So there you go. Street Masters, tabletop, miniature, arcade, fighting game. There's as you can see on the board, there's a lot to keep track of. You're paying attention to the cards that you have, the cards that you can play, things on your cards that can be exhausted or discarded, abilities that you have, perpetual abilities. You're looking for actions that you can play. You're also controlling minions that appear in your threat area, activating when it's time to activate. You're keeping track of what's in the enemy board, all the things that would be in play and activating on his turn. And you're also keeping track of the things that happen in the stage. And it could be events, one-off events, or perpetual things that may be happening, ongoing. And most of the time it is against you. So I definitely like this game because I like the dice rolling. Definitely like the dice rolling. I always enjoy a good dice roller. It's not so much luck in this as opposed to playing your cards in a strategic way, being mindful of managing the number of threats on the board, like the number of minions, as well as trying to stay focused on attacking your enemy. Dimitri is one of the easier enemies in terms of bosses, but he's not, I wouldn't say he's like super easy because there's a few cards in here that he can do some serious damage. I was just fortunate enough that they didn't appear. So that also makes a difference in terms of replayability. I can play this level and this boss over and over again, and the outcome will always be different because what's in his deck is randomized. What's in the stage deck is randomized. The cards that you draw are randomized and may or may not play in your favor. And the number of minions that come out, and depending where they come out and how they're moving, can also affect you as well. I was fortunate that I could exhaust a few of them. So Street Masters it's a good game. I like it, and I would definitely this is definitely a game that comes on the table quite often. Thanks for playing with me. Until next time, stay bored.